Chief Henry Red Cloud, thank you so much for joining us. It's really appreciated and deeply honored. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family legacy, about your life, and about your work, please.
Sure. First of all, greetings one and all. My name's Henry Retcloud. I reside within the boundaries of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, located in the southwest corner of the state of South Dakota, and home of the Oglala Lakota, known as in the history books and that known as the Sioux. Anyway, yes, so it's been, we as Oglala Lakota people, we're hunters, gatherers with many generations. What we did was migrated with the buffalo from the south to the north and met with other tribes and traded buffalo meat for corn, different things that we needed along the path of our harvesting of the buffalo. What we did was we clothed ourselves, sheltered ourselves, and fed ourselves through the buffalo, and met many other tribes throughout the country here. And it started a barter exchange, trading. So that's how the Oglala Lakota live for neons. My role today, I stand here today, I sit before you as a fifth direct descendant of Machpialuta of 1822, 1909. So I'm a fifth direct descendant also. As the ancestors back over 100 years ago made the treaties with the federal government, the 1851 and the 1868 treaties. They were made, the very first one was the Boundary Treaty of 1851. And then leading up to 1868 was the Peace Treaty. Both treaties were initiated by the federal government. And then since that time of 1870, we lost quite a bit of land due to the gold rush and all of this other things happening. They discarded the treaties and just came in and put my people on what they call reservations. And so with limited access to hunting, we couldn't hunt. So we turned our life to farming. We started to farm and raise some cattle, chickens, and that. And we start doing that. The early 20th century. That's what we started to do, and today that's still happening here today. I'm residing on a piece of ancestral land that I've been here for 27 years now, Gary. I've been here, and my very first thing when I arrived here was I turned the ground over and I start planting food. And that was 27 years ago, and every year since we went and always put a garden in. We have 1950s, early 50s, HUD came in. There was a lot of sustainable farms here throughout Indian country, everybody coexisting with the land, growing their food, living from the land. And then HUD came in and built some houses, some cluster houses, and invited people to move in off their lands and come live in a place where you can turn the spigot, the kitchen spigot on, and you can flip a light switch, which was all good, but you know, there were some circumstances to that. There were some laws that had to be followed within HUD that still exist, you know, today. For instance, you can't have a garden in your backyard. You can grow grass, you can grow Kentucky bluegrass and make it look nice and grow some flowers, but you can't have a garden. You can only have, you know, one pet, one car, and you know, so it stopped people from, you know, growing food. And you know, today people back in the 1990s, people are tired, they're sick. They're sick. They got, you know, diabetes, they got cancer, you know, all of these things from eating poor food from the only supermarket in the village here. There's only one supermarket and they sell the generic brand food. Of eating of that all of your life leads to, you know, diabetes. People were tired of that and wanting to get back to growing their own food, and I asked several people, probably over 100 people, which didn't take them long to respond at all. I said, if there was a wish that can be granted to you today, right this second, what would that be? And they said, I would like to get back to the old homestead. We grew our food there. We raised our chickens, our cattle. We were happy. We were healthy. You know, I would like to get back to the old homestead, rekindle that fire. So that's where I found myself there. How does one do that in Indian country? How does one get back to the old fireplace, the old homestead? And so since that time, I was able to help many families do the same, reclaim and start utilizing their ancestral lands, and then helping them with fresh gardening practices, you know, partnering up with Ample Harvest and partnering with different nonprofits and bringing this forward. It's always been, you know, one of my favorite things as, you know, growing up on this sustainable farm was my job, as I can remember, to carrying a bucket of water with a ladle and giving each plant a drink of water every other day or every 2 days or so. And then my reward was I and my grandpa would sit at the end of the field. At the end of the day, after we got through, he was pulling weeds, doing all the other stuff while I was watering plants. When we were done, we would sit. He went and built a bench at the end there. So we would sit there and just gaze out over the garden. Then he'll pull his pocket knife out. Maybe we'll have a watermelon. Maybe we'll have cucumbers, cantaloupe. You know, those were my favorite moments. We sat quietly there and just enjoyed a wonderful meal. So that was, since then, I always been growing up around, you know, fresh food, fresh, you know, produce. My father and my uncles, along with my grandpa, dug this mass hole by hand. It must have been 12 foot by 12 foot by 8 foot deep. They went and dug it by hand. It took several days to, you know, dig that. And they put logs over the top of it and put whatever they can, tin pieces in that, and then backfilled it. So they went and dug a root cellar by hand. And it was so wonderful down there. The smell of fresh vegetables, no matter what time of the year it was, when it was minus 40 degrees outside, you go down in there and oh, it was nice.